All right then. So what we're going to be talking about today, playing like a winner. Now it's about mindset, really. I mean, the whole thing's about mindset, and I want to go through a couple of things. First of all, let's start with possibly the most important lesson that you can get out of everything today, and I'll show it to you right now. I've got here one of the coolest business cards you could ever get. Right? With this, you can learn how to run your business. With this, you can learn how to change all the things relating to your family, your health, your money. With this, you can change absolutely anything. I guarantee, and it sits in your back pocket, you'll be able to reinvent your life straight away with this. One question. Who wants it? Ta-da! Round of applause for Hussein. Now, interesting, Hussein, there you go, congratulations. I know he's a winner anyway. But what happened there? Work it through. I went, right, here's a really cool business card. And I said, who wants it? And some people went, well, I quite like it if he's going to give it. Some people were saying, well, I think he's going to ask us a question. And I wonder if I can answer the question. Some people went, oh, I'm sure there's a catch, but we'll find out what it is. And some people, more than your average audience, I've got to say, normally everyone's really polite and does a bit more strokey chin. Some people said, right, I'm going to get it and go. And after they saw somebody run up and get it, other people started moving. You may have noticed if we played back the video, that's pretty much what happened. Because the actual answer to everything you're going to learn today from these amazing speakers, and can we just start by giving a round of applause for Iyad? Where's Iyad? Is he here? He's probably out doing busy stuff. Is he? Because he's done a brilliant job putting all this together. The most important thing you can learn is exactly that. If you want it, go and get it. That's it. If you want it, go and get it. And don't let anything stop you. This is mindset. This is all about how to play like a winner. So, taking that into consideration about those who sit and watch and those who get up and do, I'll throw a figure at you. Do you know what the percentage is of people who are interested in self-improvement and personal development and making their lives much better? Do you know what percentage it is? Anybody? 20%? Less than 20%. It's about 5%, maybe less. 95% of people don't experience, well, they experience the same as everybody else, but they don't do anything about it. They don't say, right, that's a mirror, that's me, I'm going to change things by starting with, right, who's that person looking at me? I wonder if I can make things different by having a conversation with myself. They don't do it. Do you know what they do? They go shopping, usually in Dubai. Or they blame somebody else. Or they go out and party or drink or just have conversations with other people who seem to be just as depressed and just as annoyed as them. They get the credit card out and spend a fortune just to do retail therapy rather than asking more realistic questions, which is ultimately what it's all about. Muhammad Ali is one of my heroes, as indeed I think he is for most people. And there's a new film coming out, Muhammad Ali, which basically has him justifying not going to the Vietnam War to fight on behalf of the US. And they use lots of brilliant actors acting as the judges and jury and all the Senate who are fighting against his points of the ability to not go to war. And they only use footage of actually Muhammad Ali. No actor, just him. And that'll be coming out soon, because he was a visionary. He had a different aspect, a different way of doing things. And more than anything, he had integrity. He wouldn't do what everybody else said to do. Well, think about it. If 5% of people are into self-improvement and personal development, and that's a percentage who get what they want out of life, most people are wrong. Most of the people who you know will only do when it gets to a tipping point where it gets so bad they've run out of different answers, so they start asking those different, better questions about what can they do about it. How can I change and make it better for me? Where do I start? And of course, you start by asking those better questions. So, what if you don't believe? What if you don't think I'm good enough? Now, that little voice in your head, that self-talk, as my friend and colleague and expert, Dr. Layla Edwards, give us a wave, Layla. If you want to learn about NLP, by the way, this lady here is one of the best schools in the world for teaching about mindset and NLP and so on. Your subconscious mind is that little voice in your mind that says to you, don't do that, you'll look stupid. Nobody's interested in what you've got to say. And if you stand up and ask a stupid question, everyone's going to laugh at you. That's a voice that's actually not there to humiliate you. How many people have had that? You know, if somebody loses a job, guess what job they're going to go for next? The same price as what they were paid in my last job, because that's what they believe they're worth. We've all had experiences like that. And that voice is there to protect you from doing damage to yourself, but it's also your own creation, so you can program it differently. So what does that mean? It means that instead of thinking, you know what, I'm fat, I'm horrible, nobody wants to talk to me, instead use a different set of words when you relate to yourself. When you talk about things, right, for instance, how many people here want to be a millionaire? Okay, and you can watch The Secret, and you read all the books and all the motivation stuff that tells you about all that stuff, and you can say, right, I want to be rich in your front room, and there's no Porsche. There's just you sitting on your front room looking a bit daft in a seat. But one thing you can do is change it by pretending, acting as if you've already got it. And here's a phrase that you can use to that character in your mind that gives you all those words that says it's not going to happen. I am in the... Write this down, by the way, if you're taking notes. If you're not taking notes, write it down anyway. If you've not got a pen, just repeat it until I go home. I am in the process of becoming ... I'm in the process of becoming a millionaire ... I'm in the process of meeting my perfect partner ... I'm in the process of creating the best business that I could ever have ... Why you say that I'm in the process of, it means that you're not saying that you already have it right now, but you're inviting your supercomputer, your subconscious mind, to find examples that work for you. All the stuff in this presentation and throughout the day are all about feeding your subconscious mind, the bit below the surface you don't normally get access to. It's there, it's a supercomputer, but it only works on what you give it. Here's an example. How many people have ever bought a new car? Hands in the air. Nobody's ever bought a new car. How many people have ever bought a new pair of shoes? Or a t-shirt? Or a can of Coke? See if we can get everybody in here. Okay, there we go. If you've ever bought something like that list I've given there, the odds are that suddenly you start seeing everybody else who's got one as well. You buy a new car and suddenly everybody else is driving that same car. Buy new shoes, buy a new t-shirt, buy a can of Coke. You see everybody else is the same. And the things that they're not. But to you there are, because your subconscious mind will find more examples of things that you're interested in. So if you say, I'm interested in such and such, your mind will go, okay. But if you say, I'm rubbish, your mind will go, okay, let's find more examples. I'm having a terrible day. Okay, I'll find more examples of your terrible day. My life is never going to be better. Okay, I'll find more examples. You've got to change the programming and the way that you get your mind to work. And that's why Muhammad Ali's talking about pretending. Play like a champion every single day. And that champion, you've already seen it. Hussein's just to use an example. When I held out the card, he ran for it. But the thing is, and I will agree and disagree with some of the slides I'm just about to share with you. What is the best way to make a wheel? Anybody? What's the best kind of wheel? Round one. Okay. Good call. All right. Why do you think it's round?
Square wheels will not...
Exactly. Perfect answer. Square wheels don't work very well. Neither do rectangular ones, and neither do oblong ones. Round works. So model. Find out what somebody's done who's successful and copy their model. You don't have to reinvent the shape of it. Success leaves clues, not crews. That's a guy out of Despicable Me. Success leaves grooves and minions. Success leaves clues. Find out who's got what you want and model towards creating that. And you'll save yourself a lot of time and energy as you do it. Here we've got an example of a visionary, Alexander the Great. Very cool guy. You should check out what the story was. We drop the sound on it. Just drop the sound. Don't worry. I'll describe what's going on. Alexander the Great was an amazing military tactician, died in his early 30s. By that time, he'd conquered most of the world. Now, his normal way of going into battle was when he's going into battle, he'd split his sides up, he'd send the cavalry around the side, he'd go forward, and then they'd come in around the back, push the enemy towards him, and they'd attack him on lots of different levels. Here we are, showing that very technique, and this is him in the Battle of Gaugamela, which was against Darius, and Darius's army were massive. Alexander had about 50,000. Darius had about 200,000. Now, Darius knew exactly what Alexander did in battle. He sent his troops around the side like that. I mean, he attacked from the front. He chased it all in and squashed in. So he was all out to do battle. There's one thing I've learned, and it's a very simple thing, which is only fight battles you know you're going to win. I would never, ever, ever dream of going in just to, I know I'm going to die valiantly, but I'm going to give my best. Good luck, you do that. If I know I'm going to win it, I'll get stuck in. So I choose my battles very, very carefully. And so should you. Save your energy. Be a tactician with it. Another thing that he did, which was amazing, was whenever he conquered all these different places all around the world. Well, first of all, he called them Alexandria. There's quite a lot of them around the world, you might have noticed. But another thing he did was he'd say to the people who were running that country or that city, whenever he took them, he said, look, here's the deal. You know how your people work. You know how to run your country. I'm going to put my flag on top of your country so it's part of my empire, but then you carry on running it. But you work for me. My rules, but you know how to make this work. Now, why should that have any relevance? Well, think about how it works in terms of business. If you really want to win in business, how many times do you see a product launch that doesn't work because some people liked it and other people didn't care about it or didn't want to know about it? If you really want to make a product work, you look at the McDonald's business version. Now, when you say McDonald's, everyone looks at me and say, Dave, you've had too many McDonald's. It's a different conversation. But what you do think about is in order to get the whole world to be a McDonald's eater, they let every single region invent its own version of McDonald's, the Muckarabia. Or if you go to Singapore, or you go to Malaysia, or go to the UK, or go to Germany, they've got different versions of those types of burgers. Why? Because those guys know what their people want. Think about how that works for you. So, now you've seen this example. Plan ahead. Like we had a conversation about Warren Buffett. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Warren Buffett. Not that I don't admire the guy, I just haven't read that much of it, about the stuff. Now, I understand you do, which is wonderful as well. But work out what works for you. Nobody else is fighting your battle. Nobody else is living your life. Nobody else gets to look in the mirror and see you. Only you. But what you do have is you are driving an $8 billion machine. You cannot be replaced by anybody else. You can turn around and say, right, I'm going to get super fit. You start eating the right kind of food, you start working it out, and you work out the right kind of fitness regime, and suddenly you're very, very good at what you do. You can decide, I'm going to educate myself by going to night classes, or even creating a university in my car by getting audio versions of all the books. You might decide that you can't afford to travel around the world and see Anthony Robbins and Jack Canfield and all those amazing people that the Right Selection, for instance, are bringing here to Dubai. But what you can do is you can get their audio books and you can play them in the car. And you've got half the stuff you'd need right there to do. How many people are expats in this country? How many people have a different home, really, even though you don't like going back very often? It's me. Okay, and when you go home to your old town and you go to your old village or you go to your favorite bar, restaurant, or meeting place, and you see your old friends from school, and you sit there and you say, so, how's it going? They go, oh, it's okay. How's your job? Well, I don't like it, but I'm going to leave. When are you going to leave? Well, probably, next year, but I'm working on it. All right. Then you go back the next year, everyone's still sat in the same seats. And you say, how's it going? All right. What about the job? Yeah, I'm going to leave. A year later, same thing. Now, this is what's true for most people. You know the idea of ready, aim, fire? Everybody? Ready, aim, fire. Most people spend their lives aiming and never firing. This is true. Here's a new one for you. Another one for you to write down. Ready, fire, aim. Bang! Ooh. Right, I've hit that. Actually, I wanted to hit this. So now I know that if I fire straight away, the bullet goes at this speed with this trajectory, heading towards that area. I can recalculate to there, and bang. I got exactly what I wanted because I first aimed, I aimed after I'd fired. You will have a ton of people, just like my example there with the business card, Who wants it? Everyone's aiming, wondering how to do it. When Hussein was saying, think about what you're going to do next after this, the very simple answer is act on it. You can spend a little bit of time thinking, as he's given you. You already know what it is, but act on it. It doesn't have to be about work. It could be about chasing up family or friends or getting rid of some stuff that you don't want to do. That's what winners do. Focusing on your time management is just as important. Spend less time doing the stuff that you don't want to do, more time doing the stuff that you do. Guy goes to the doctor, says, doctor, my arm hurts when I do this. Doctor says, stop doing it then. And this is true for your business. You know the 80-20 rule. 80% of your clients give you about 20% of your money. 20% of your clients actually give you 80% of the revenue that you make. But you end up doing a lot of things for people who don't give you a lot back. Get rid of them. Find out who the best ones are and double them. Get more of them. Anthony Robbins talks about the power of 7. This is what winners do. The power of 7, very important. The 7 people closest to you throughout your entire life, you will be the average of them. Your friends, your family, the people you socialize with, your business colleagues, their level of happiness, their level of affluence, the level of emotional roller coasters that they go through, you'll be the average of the people you knock about with. So, if you want to know how to improve, get rid of half of them. Fill yourself and surround your life with the people who are of that level that you want to achieve. If you're knocking about the people who are successful and super millionaires and join the CEO club and you meet all the best and biggest in the world, certainly in Dubai, as a result of them, when you say, I'm looking for something, they will tell you the top level of that. Not the people who are looking, sitting in a cafe just whining about everything. Choose the quality people you want in your 7. The time will never be right. But it doesn't have to be. Because one day, if you plan everything and you're waiting for it to happen, you might get hit by a bus. Do it now. Just work on it. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work out how you want? Fine. If I get a splinter in my finger, I do 2 things. First of all, 3 things. I pull the splinter out because I'd be an idiot if I kept it there. I think about what happened to make that splinter go into my finger, and I say, I'm never going to have that again. But I also squash my finger like this, feel the pain, so I'm aware of how bad it can be to have a splinter, so I know that if I ever have a splinter again, it's only going to be like that pain again. So you're going to get ups and downs. But that's fine. That's what life's all about. And the battle is against you. Every single person in this room is not against each other. How many people ever went to school? You go to school, you spend most of your life growing up next to all these kids. So everything in the playground is all about this politics like a big soap opera, and then you leave. And in most cases, you never see them again for the rest of your life. And if you're really unlucky, they pop up on Facebook and say, hi, remember me? And you go, oh, goodness me, yeah, I do. Okay. Most of the people you meet and you grow up with, you might never see again. Okay, it's a smaller world. You can bump into them. But the battle is all about you. And you. And your mindset is everything. Like it says there, if it doesn't challenge you, it isn't going to change you. It's about comfort zones. Move your comfort zone. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I am pretty old. And yes, I've got long hair. And am I ever going to get a job in a bank? No. No banker will give me a job in his organization. But you know what? They pay me a month's salary for an hour's work to educate their teams, their management, on mindset. So I'd much prefer that than having to work for their organization full time. And I've worked for all the banks at some stage and all these huge organizations. It's about being you and making sure that you fit into your own skin. You don't have to fit anybody else. Everyone else is already taken. You've got you first. Winners. Winning is not everything. That's partly true. You see, I semi-agree with the way that this is going, because the thing is, the battle is all about what you want, not about what anybody else wants. When you talk about opportunity, it's about you versus you. It's about taking those opportunities, being ready, and going for it. And success. Again, success is different for different people. For some people, it's about growing the relationship that they have with themselves. For some, it's about making money. For some, it's about being healthy. Success is ultimately about you. But one thing I can tell you, have you ever seen the film Mr. Holland's Opus? Yeah, who's seen it? Anybody who's never seen it, please, if you're ever going to watch a movie or think about watching a movie today, that's the one to watch. Well, probably not. If you go and see Transformers, it's probably just as good. But if you want to have a deep vision as a result of watching a movie, Richard Dreyfuss stars as this guy, Mr. Holland. And Mr. Holland, like everybody in this room, leaves college and wants to create some amazing things in his life. He's a music teacher. And his opus is this huge, wonderful orchestral piece that he wants to create. And the film follows his life. And all the time he wants to sit and he wants to write. And he wants to do all these different things. But what happens is the guy at the back on his phone doesn't realize the door's open. He does now. Sorry. What happens is, as he's going along and he's doing all these things of trying to write his opus, so he comes out the door. You've missed the point. Thank you. Yeah, I can still hear you if I can still see you. All right. Okay. They can't hear you when you go like that with your phone. Okay. So Mr. Holland, anyway, is meeting lots of things in his life. Students coming to him, dealing with this, dealing with that, and so on. And then he goes to retire. And I'm going to spoil this film for you. I'm not going to... Pankaj, should I tell him what happens? Should I tell him? You've seen the film, haven't you?
Yes, of course.
Should I tell him what happens in the end?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to know? It's a spoiler. So I've just saved you 2.5 hours of watching a movie.
But I think if those who haven't seen it, it won't spoil it.
It won't spoil it because you'll see it anyway. Okay. Thank you. I'm just going to check. All right. All right. So anyway, he comes to retire. He's old and grey, a bit like me. Not a bit older, maybe. And it's his final day. And his wife comes to collect him, takes him out of his room where he's been teaching. And his biggest regret is he never got to write that orchestral piece. He never got to finish that wonderful opus that was going to define him as a person. And his wife takes him into an auditorium like this and takes him up on stage. And he looks around. And the audience, just like you, is made up of all the students he's had over the years. The ones that distracted him, the ones that were difficult to work with, the ones that managed to overcome stuff and change elements in their lives, the ones that managed to make it fantastic. And they're all there. And they played as much of his tune as he had written. And he realized they were his opus. You might not know what you're aiming for, but as you're doing it, you're inspiring people around you. I didn't know I was coming down today. I was watching Planes on a DVD with my little 3-year-old on the way, having breakfast. Well, not on the way, because they don't like that. But at every stage as you do things, you don't know who's watching, you don't know who you're changing and having a knock-on effect. There's a whole theory, and I'm not a very religious person. In fact, I'm probably the least religious person that you come across. But one thing I can share with you that I do know is that if there is no afterlife, one thing that does continue is the effect you've had on the people you meet. It might be a conversation. It might be a little bit of kindness and gratitude. It might be an impact of something amazing that people hadn't appreciated, but they get and to understand later on. That's how you inspire. That's how you live on, long after you're no longer doing what you do. And that's ultimately what makes a winner. So success is ultimately what it comes down to you. I'm going to share with you one last idea before I move on, because I know that we're going to be short on time. And as you probably realized, I can talk a lot, but I'm not going to. One thing I'm going to leave you with is what Michael Jordan says about failure. How many people here have ever failed in your life to do something? Failed to pass a driving test, failed to keep a relationship going, failed to pass an exam, failed to win the lottery? Okay. How many people here have never failed? Nobody? Okay. I'm going to give you a special gift before I disappear and get the next wonderful speaker on to share with you the next direction of today's presentations. You have never failed. Nobody in this room has ever failed to become a winner. Why is that? You're going, Dave, but I didn't pass my... How many people passed the driving test on the second go? Why did he go back and do it again? Do you have a hand up? Why did you failed first time, went back second time, yeah? Why did you go back? You wanted to get your driving you want to get your test and get your qualifications so you can drive. That's what life's about. Failure is not what they say, making you into a loser. It's not that. Failure is only not getting the result that you wanted. You've got a thing like a driving test or a relationship or a school test or whatever it is that you're thinking about that you failed. You put in a certain amount of effort, you put your stuff on the line, you don't get the result you wanted, maybe, but what you did get is feedback. But most people ignore the feedback. They don't go back and say, what did I do wrong? Because if you went back and learned what you did wrong and did the same thing again, you would pass. So in fact, you never fail. All you do is get a result and feedback. And from there, you choose whether you want to go and do it again, or you say, I'm fine, I'm done. It's not what I really wanted to do anyway. Does everybody understand that concept? So the question now, 2 minutes later, is how many people have ever failed in their lives? Put your hands in the air. Okay, why do you think you failed? Some people still putting their hands up. You didn't fail, you just got feedback. You didn't get the result you wanted, but with the feedback, that's all it was. Not failure. Failure makes you a loser. You didn't fail. It was a scientific formula for what you did. Does that make sense? Anyone still think that they failed? Oh, that's better. So here's a question. If you've never failed in the past, how many people in this room are ever going to fail in the future? No one. How does that feel? It's pretty good, isn't it? Okay, you won't get what you want sometimes. You won't get the result. You'll do it and go, oof, can't believe I just did that. Laugh at it. Always makes you feel better. But you'll never fail. So the one big lesson from my section to leave with you about the mindset and the concept of playing like a winner is go for it. You're not going to fail. You're not even going to make a mistake. And I'll tell you why, very briefly. How many people have made mistakes before? Yeah, okay. Right, I'm going to go through this quickly so we can get the next speaker on. You never make a mistake because at the time of doing it, you do the right thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it. At that time, you don't get hindsight. You're not Doctor Who. You can't go back in a time machine. You only have now. Now, who in your life has a vested interest in your success more than you? Nobody. True? Who in your life... Sorry, go on. Okay, apart from your mum. Bearing in mind you said your mum and your dad. Who knows you better than anybody else?
My best friend.
Your best friend? Is it she? What's her name?
Her name's Anusha.
Okay, Anusha knows you better than anybody else. Okay, here's a question for you. What about you? Do you know you better than Anusha knows you? She knows you better than you know you. Okay. And what about your mum and dad? They don't know you as well as Anusha knows you.
I'm a teenager. What can I say?
Okay. Good point. Good point. But one thing I'll do, I'll finish off this piece and I'll return to you with the final part of what I'm going to say. So there's three things. First of all, who's going to be at the scene of a crime every time for the rest of your life? That's what I want to say. For the rest of your life, until you're old and grey, like me, who is going to guarantee to be there by your side? How many conversations do you have with God on a regular basis?
Guarantee that.
Can I tell you somebody who is going to be there for you for the rest of your life, who will know you, who will care about you, who will understand you and want the best for you and also guide your decisions? More than anybody you've mentioned so far.
My dad.
Somebody else, you've already mentioned your dad. Anybody?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Let her figure it out.
Okay.
You?
Oh, no. That's called being a stalker, and I'm not that.
Myself. Don't think to yourself. Well, myself. I know I carry myself.
Well, from now on, you are in charge of you. Everything everybody says around you, as much as you love them and understand, you are the person who one day will have to justify every single thing that's gone on. All around you get advice, you get inspiration, you get great people who give you some stuff. You also get some great people who give you some bad stuff. But the only person that can make those decisions in the end is yourself. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Good train.